The monsoon is India's true finance minister. But still, we do not fully understand the Indian monsoon. This year, 2026, is the year of El Niño.
El Niño is active.
India is on alert for the El Niño impact.
We are under an El Niño advisory.
El Niño weather pattern.
When the Pacific currents turn warm, and this in turn hurts our monsoon. Farmers have planted their crops and they're looking at the sky for much needed water. The Indian Meteorological Department is predicting a below average monsoon. So in all, not good news. It is time to understand why all this matters and what we must do as both climate change and now this year El Niño will impact our lifeline. Why we must respect the monsoon. I am Sunita Narain and this is my show. My effort with every episode is to explain why environment matters, what we must do to safeguard our present and our children's future. Please do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so that you are notified every time my show goes live. Your support matters a lot. But let's discuss this episode. The monsoon is the one pan-India event that would rival our national love for the game of cricket. Each year, we wait almost with bated breath to see if the monsoon will keep its date with Kerala, where it first makes its landing. Its progress inland, from one hand the Indian Ocean, on the other hand the Bay of Bengal, is watched. And every time there is a pause, India's collective heart stops. Why? Because by now the soil is dry. Across the country, farmers have planted their crops and they're looking at the sky for much needed water. The reservoirs need to fill up again for water, drinking water, and for electricity. Soil, plants, trees, and forests are shriveled dry, waiting for rain to pick them up. Even we, nature-disconnected city dwellers, who seem to believe that drinking water comes from government and taps, wait for the monsoons to arrive to bring relief from intense heat. I believe, and I hope you will agree, there are few smells which are as intoxicating as that of the first rain on the parched earth. It is our moment of joy when that rain hits the ground. But still, we do not fully understand the Indian monsoon, how it is interlinked to the global weather systems, and the implications as climate change alters the ocean currents, wind patterns, and the rain systems of the world. 2026 is going to be a real weather kicker. First, there is news of El Niño brewing up in the Pacific, which has always meant a weaker Indian monsoon. By now, it is certain that El Niño will be a super or very strong event. Surface ocean temperatures are expected to exceed well over 2 degrees centigrade over the long-term average. This intense ocean heat spike is expected to destabilize atmospheric pressure systems and jet streams, and this will supercharge weather events globally. All this will come on top of the already long-term effects of climate change, which are pushing temperatures higher and making weather patterns more volatile. So all in all, 2026 is expected to be a sizzler of a year. El Nino is expected to intensify between June and August. The Indian Meteorological Department, IMD, is predicting a below average monsoon. One weather event that would modulate the worst impacts of El Nino is what is called the Indian Ocean Dipole System, IOD. This system is measured in terms of the temperature difference between the Western Indian Ocean, which is off East Africa, and the Eastern Indian Ocean off Indonesia. A positive IOD with warmer waters on the western front can counteract the worst of a strong El Nino. But this year, however, IMD predicts neutral IOD conditions, which a possible shift towards a positive IOD only at the end of the monsoon season. So in all, not good news. But this is not all. Global weather, we know, is fast spinning out of control. And this results in even more disturbed monsoon. On the one hand, extreme rain events are increasing, also because of climate change. In the past few years, our data shows that India has had close to one extreme weather event a day. And heavy and extreme rain, which means floods and landslides, occurred on 68 to 95% of the days. In other words, we are getting more rain in fewer number of rainy days. This is bad news as it leads to floods, and if we do not hold the rain, use it to recharge surface and groundwater reservoirs, it exacerbates water shortage and then drought. But this is not all. We are also seeing that the western disturbance, these are moisture-laden winds that come from the Mediterranean across West Asia and bring rain and snow to North India, these appear to be changing, also because of climate change. So instead of western disturbances coming during winter months, and this is why we saw there is a lack of snow in the Himalayas in the past few years, they are increasingly arriving in summer and even remain active during the monsoon season. So when the western disturbance does come in summer, it brings welcome rain during those peak heat months. But remember, it also disrupts and destroys the harvested crops of farmers. In the past few years, when they come during the monsoon period, the western disturbances have led to collisions with monsoon low pressure systems. Now this brings intense rainfall events and cloudbursts. Remember the horrific flash floods that we saw in the Himalayas last year? This was a result of this changing pattern of the western disturbance, which is now coming more and more later in the year. So the question is, why is all this happening? And the reason is that the world's weather system does not have boundaries. The wind and the ocean current systems that drive rain, heat, snow, and cold are all interconnected. These global systems are being impacted by another global crisis, greenhouse gas emissions that come from individual countries but fill the global atmospheric space. So as climate change forces temperatures to rise, the Arctic warms, and this in turn weakens the polar jet streams, and this in turn reduces the temperature difference between the equator and the poles. All this then influences the western disturbances, and this is now bringing unseasonal rain to India. Why does all this matter? Surely we have irrigation, we have water, we don't need rain to fall. But the fact is we are far from this. And in fact, we should never even try and to become monsoon proof. We need to harvest rain to grow food. The bulk of India's agriculture is rain-fed. And even when farmers have irrigation, the main source of their water is groundwater. When we get water in our taps, when we open the tap and we get water, let's also understand that over 70% of drinking water is from groundwater. Groundwater is recharged every time it rains. Our reservoirs fill up, which then gives us electricity in through the hydroelectric plants we have. It is for this reason that the true finance minister of India is the monsoon. The Indian monsoon demands our full respect. We need to value every drop of rain when and where it falls.